decided to do this video because there is only one other video that I saw that would actually give you any idea of what you may experience with your reticulated python in totality throughout the process of ovulation through gestation to laying eggs. So I just wanted to like give you some things that I found that made me wonder things throughout the process, things that made me certain throughout the process. And some of the footage that you guys gonna get is choppy because I literally was documenting throughout the process. Once I realized that she definitely may be gravid, I started to document, and some of it is, like I said, it's a little choppy in coverage, but I'm going to definitely present those occasions to you with just some voiceover telling you what was actually occurring or what I was documenting at the time. Some key points. One key point is, even 2 days prior to her actually laying, T'Challa was very active. She just got very active out of the blue. She did that one time before, probably a week to that time. So she went through this process of like being very lethargic, like having kind of like, you know, sheds, personality qualities type of thing with her. And then all of a sudden these spurts of energy. And the last spurt of energy, like I said, it was 2 days before she actually was due to lay. Well, actually, let's think about it. It was the day the 30th day. So she laid on day 32, which I'm thinking that's a common day for most reticulated pythons. 32 days after the day that they actually have their pre-lay shed is when they actually lay their eggs. So some say 30, but it seems like, just listening to other people, their day was 32. So, you know, 30, 32, you know, but anyway, 32. But on day 30, she was very active. And I'll actually share that footage when she became very active, acting like her normal self. But I knew that she was definitely full of eggs. You can see it. I can touch her and feel it. And after that, she went back into her enclosure and literally balled up and didn't move again until she actually laid the eggs 2 days later. The other thing that I documented that I thought was very unique, and I could not find any veterinarian documentation on it other than conversation with my vets once it occurred, and talking to a couple other retic keepers, whether they saw it or not, is that T'Challa, probably a week till today, had passed what I believe to be her mucus plug, which is similar to when women give birth. We pass our mucus plug a lot of times before our water break, or our mucus plug and our water break at the same time. However, in order to get to that next stage of dilation, you have to use you lose your mucus plug. And so she had excreted out this, it wasn't urine clearly, so it was like this discharge that looked very similar to the mucus plug. It was clearer than what our mucus plug normally is, or not as thick, but it was kind of still slimy like that. And I just so happened to catch it on camera because I've been watching her like a hawk. The camera was actually placed right on her enclosure up until the time that I knew that she was about to lay, and then we put the we had shades on both sides of the enclosure to give her privacy. But yeah, I documented that, so that'll be shared in this footage as well. The one thing for sure is when she did not eat, when she did not her first meal, my eyebrow raised. Because what you guys don't know, the story of how she got pregnant is her and Hefe were mingling together. You might have saw it in some previous footage or in one of the podcasts. And they were doing their normal play day, you know, and they ended up locking, and we were not going to unlock them at that point. And just so happened that it got her pregnant, and she went straight from, that happened in November. It was right before I went to the cancer walk, so that was like the second week of November. Came back, I think she ate right before we went to the cancer walk. She denied food in December and January and on, and so I knew then that she definitely was with babies, because the T'Challa does not deny food at all. And then just watching her go through the process. When she ovulated, The retic ovulation was clear. I know people say the ball python ovulation should have been clear to me. It was clear, but it was like, you know, is it or is it not a couple times. The retic ovulation was clear. Clearly, a whole nother body was growing in a section of her. So you could see it clearly, and her behavior changed drastically. T'Challa, although always a sweet snake, normally is a little bit more reactive than most of the snakes as far as personality, and she just kind of like became one of the most non-reactive snakes at all, you know. And so that was kind of unique to watching her, you know, her kind of lose her little edge to her. But even down to pulling the eggs and everything, she was just a sweetheart. Of course, she wanted to protect the eggs. She was conflicted, like, should I hold on to them or let them people take them? All right, I'm gonna let y'all take them. Y'all cool. And that's kind of how that happened. So it's been an experience. And the craziest thing is, guys, that, you know, we all anticipated my first clutch to be ball python eggs. And it's crazy how I've been breeding ball pythons and I still don't have eggs on the ground yet, but I definitely have a couple girls who are gravid, and we definitely should see eggs any day. It's very soon. But the fact that I have reticulated python eggs first is absolutely funny and amazing to me, and I'm, you know, just tickled. And T'Challa is my very first purchased reticulated python, and the father, who is Hefe, is my very I think he's my third. Yeah, he's my third, because I got the tiger pod second. He's my third reticulated python purchase, all being from Jim Jolly, who has been definitely my coach through this process, and I really appreciate that. So I'm going to just share some of the footage with some voiceover, with some key points of what was occurring, what was going through my mind, what was I thinking, especially if it was any points like, I'm like, why is she doing that if she's gravid? So stay tuned. Now these next photos is when we notice the ovulation. So actually we'll show you of, this was 2 weeks prior to her laying, how active she was. This me allowing her to go back in her enclosure after she was out for a while. This was one of those moments, if I didn't know my snake, I would have wondered if she was still pregnant, or gravid, because she became like her normal active self. But as you can see in this video, you can see that clearly she still was very, very much gravid. But she just got very active this day. And I think it was a way for her to just move the eggs along, move the process along, kind of like we do in maternity, in our later maternity stages as human. So yeah, and then the next video you're going to see immediately after this is where I talk about the mucus plug. This is where she actually extended what we believe to be a mucus plug prior to, and this was a week before her actually laying her eggs. So I just so happened to capture this. I tried to get it as clear as I can for this video. It was behind the glass, of course, but yeah, you guys should have saw that pretty good. This was her literally 2 days before laying. She became very active in her enclosure. She wanted to come out. I let her out. She came out. She stayed out for a very long time. You can see here, if you're looking at the bottom of her tail, very much full of eggs. And she's extended herself over the kitchen island right now. I was preparing for breakfast that day. She heard me. She became very active. I just let her out. I did what she looked like she wanted to do.
Like about 5 hours after we waited to see if she was finished laying. The lights are still out, so forgive the darkness, because if she's still laying, we're not going to take any footage on the camera. We don't want anything unfamiliar around her. So let's see.
Oh no, a couple of them was clumped together. I'm gonna sit it across here like that. Okay. Probably should have put it. So we let her rest for a little while, and now what we are about to do is get T'Challa out. We're gonna take her out, let her get in a soak, and clean out her enclosure, get the egg smell out of there. And I already have a rabbit for her thawing out, so we'll let her get comfortable and hopefully going. Get the rest of her body out first, Michael. Don't be too rough with her. All right, now lift that. Lift it all. Yep, she got her head in. Lift it all. Quicker, quicker, quicker. Good job. Now get her head before she freak out. Here's your lid. Got it? Good job. So what Mikey's doing now, we done cleaned out her enclosure real good, put her glass, so we cleaned everything, her glass and everything. Put paper on the side, like I normally would for her. The only time I had the full substrate in there for her is when she was in gestation. So she had a nice little soak. She's a sweetie girl. She's still acting like herself. She never took on a unfavorable temperament. Michael gonna dry off real good and put her in her enclosure. We have our rabbit thawing out in the other room, and once it's thawed, we're going to attempt to feed her. It probably won't be ready until like later tonight or the middle of the night, which will be 24 hours after she started to lay anyway. So that's super cool. She's doing really well. Right back to her normal self as far as activity, but you can tell that she's definitely thin. Mama gotta eat, but still healthy. That's her over there, swishing through the papers. All right, guys, so I hope this video helps somebody who may be breeding retics for the first time and you just don't know what to expect through the process. And like I said, to sum it up for my experience with T'Challa, November is when she had her first and only lock. December, she came off food. Stayed off food the entire time. January 17th, she ovulated in December. January 17th is when she had her prelay shed, and February 19th, which is actually 60 days from the date, 30 days from the date that she had her prelay shed. 32 days from the date that she had her prelay shed. She laid the eggs. You'll see various times when she became very active, and I think for most people it would have kind of like confused them or made them uncomfortable, and would have been like, okay, you know, didn't want to engage with her, but I did. And I think in my process is the same thing. Like I said, I believe that her moving was helping her for whatever reason. She wanted to come out, she wanted to move around. Maybe that was to help, kind of like how women walk, to help the pregnancy stimulate. I think that was her goal. So I allowed her to do it every time that she showed me signs. But I'm like that, period. I always listen to the snake. If my snakes come to the glass, they don't have to push. I'm going to open that door any hour of the night, let them come out and do what they want to do, and let them exude that energy and go back so they can have a very restful time in their enclosure. So I will be documenting all of this experience, the egg cutting and everything, through my Patreon. For her as a first time layer has been so great. We pray that the incubation process, which is now all on me, not on the snake, goes well. And I use for the incubation perlite. It was the medium that I want to use for my choice. And the eggs were very healthy, nice size eggs, and I decided to put them on the perlite instead of using the easy hatch trays for them. I'll just use them for the ball pythons, being as though that the balance in moisture and for the Retics is very important. Just said, I hope this helps. I hope this I hope more people share information, especially the vets, about the process, more detailed process, like what to expect. Because for me, if I never had this personal experience, when she became very active, if I was a non-experienced keeper or was not able to look at my snake and know that she's still clearly pregnant, some people would have mistaken that of her not being gravid at all, because she became her normal self. And you'll see it going across the kitchen island and everything. So with that being said, see you guys. Hope this helps. Peace.